Hello guys, very good evening to all of you. So welcome to my live photography chat with Sudhir. So I'm trying out this for the first time on YouTube as well. So I hope even on YouTube it comes, even the channel, everything I set it up today. So if it's not being live, of course these are all something new to me for the first time. So trying out things, but I know at least on Facebook it's coming on live and going on good. So let me just check the things on both the things and we will get started. Hold on. Okay, so I don't know what's happening with the YouTube stuff, so it should come live. Let me just figure out a few things. My channel, it's supposed to come here live. Of course, yesterday I did, or rather today, okay, sign in. Okay, subscribers are here. Where is the live broadcast going on? So I don't know. I had multiple things set up. Not here. So just hang on while I try to. Oh, it's happening here, is it? Okay, so yeah, so at multiple places I set it up. So guys, let me just update my Facebook post with the correct link. So this I will have to move it later. It's coming. So this live broadcast. So it's on the other one, Madhab, I think. Let me just post it. Multiple channels, so I need to figure out, make sure I put it live on the right channel. Let me go. So that is going on live. Edit post. That's not the one. This is the one. Oops. So okay. This is the correct link. So I just updated the correct link for folks who are trying to watch me on YouTube live. On YouTube, the quality is going to be really good, high definition. What happens is obviously here, there you go. So live broadcast. So the covering is good. Okay, the lighting, I need to improve the lighting and also probably like I may have to get the thing a little bit close up. Too much of space around, I believe. Okay, so let me see if I want to move my. That's okay. I think for this session it should be fine. I can move it a little forward. Let me do it for the YouTube, and Facebook is going on fine. So just hold on, guys. This is fun. So getting my things right, hold on. Haha. So that's me. Okay, rotate it. Ha. That's me. Okay, rotate it. Oh, where's the camera? Trying to fix things. Come on. Okay. They should be fine. All right, so let's get going then. So let me switch this one. Okay, all right, guys. So once again, a warm welcome to all of you. Let me kill it over here. Okay, all right. So with all the circus, everything, so we are finally ready for this live broadcast. So once again, a warm welcome to all of you on my photography chat with Sudhir. So for all the folks who are new to this, so normally what I do is whenever I get time. So in the last 6 months, I've been traveling a lot and haven't been able to get a lot of time trying to do this regularly. So normally what I do is on a weekly basis, I try to pick up a particular topic for discussion. So it could be whatever you folks ask, be it with respect to certain topics within photography, like metering, it could be focusing, different kind of topics. So normally I announce it in advance, and a lot of users, they give their own inputs as to like what is it that they want to learn. And I spend time preparing. Normally I like to go with this kind of formal presentation. Sometimes when I don't get the time, I just do an informal presentation. So today's topic of discussion, if I had to give you a high level overview of what I'll be talking about. So a few of you asked me about high key, low key images, what are they, and how do we get that done? So the concept behind that. So I'll be talking about the high key and low key images, and then I'll be showing you some of my own images. All said and done, even I make a lot of mistakes in the field. So I'll be sharing a few of them and also the good ones. So all the hits and misses in the field, what kind of mistake I do in the field, what I should have done or what I did right. So those things I'll be sharing, and I'll be critiquing some of my students' work. So as many of you know, I have my online video tutorials. I conduct photography workshops, photography learning tours I do. So I have selected a few images. So the concept or the main thing is I don't want to take up too many images, but I want to make sure I am able to convey the concepts as to what I want to show, or basically more from a learning point of view, take up a few images and talk about it. And then after that, we will go with the general Q&A on photography. So currently on Facebook, I am able to take up a lot of questions. So of course, both the cameras are away from me, in the sense like the rear view I'm using. So in front of the screen, whatever questions, hello, hi, all the messages which are coming. So I'm very sorry, I cannot read it right now. So just hold on to your questions. So when you come to the general Q&A on photography, so I'm going to rotate the camera and then I'll be taking up all the questions. And just before that, I'm going to switch off my YouTube broadcast, or I can keep it on, because currently I don't know how to take questions from all those folks who are watching this live on YouTube. Okay, and I'm really excited because yesterday I did a trial run of the live broadcast, and it went on pretty well actually with YouTube. So it's very high definition. One major advantage of the YouTube compared to Facebook is more squarish. So even from a composition, it looks more vertical, too many stuff. But on YouTube, you have the HD, horizontal you have, so that is pretty good. Okay, all right, let's get going. Now, when it comes to the whole concept of photography, so I always keep telling about the major difference between taking an image and making an image. Okay, so of course, this is a little bit background if I have to talk about high key images and low key images. This is a must. So taking images, you see something, you pick up your camera and you go click, 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 you start shooting. So that for me is taking an image. Making an image is the art of seeing your things, seeing your subjects. The thought process behind what setting you need to do, what is it that you're seeing, pre-visualizing. So a lot of stuff comes behind making an image. So if at a high level, if I had to tell you my regular slide for all those who attended my workshops and photo tours. So this is a very, very familiar slide for all of you. So the 4 key pillars of photography. If you want to move away from taking image to making an image, the 4 key pillars of photography. First one is subject knowledge. For wildlife, it is understanding the natural history, the behavioral aspect of your subjects. That is the first pillar if you want to improve or if you want to be a better wildlife photographer or a general better photographer. Second pillar is the core fundamental concepts of photography, where you have to understand about the camera related settings, which are the basics, which is white balance, your exposure triangle parameters. And trust me guys, this is where a lot of beginners they go wrong. Understanding the ISO, aperture, shutter speed. A lot of them, they say like, I know what is ISO, aperture, shutter speed, but what they don't know is how all of them come together and make that image. The concept of exposure triangle, and then of course metering, which is one of the most complex areas of photography. And in my video tutorials, I have explained this in detail in a very simple way for anybody to understand using the zonal system. So that I have explained here. And then the exposure compensation. In fact, all these three go hand in hand, and you understand the concepts properly. That is when you can become a better photographer. And the other two aspects, focusing points and focusing mode. I think one of the questions which came in about the focusing points, so many points are there in the camera. What is the advantage of that? So I am going to be talking about that in the Q&A session. I'll take it up later. Okay. So once you get these settings right, so these are the basic settings which you have to get it right the first time in your camera. No questions on that. Once you get these things right, the real art of photography starts after that, which is basically the visual settings or the art of composition. So where all these various parameters comes into picture. These are all guidelines, no hard and fast rule that you have to follow this. But understanding about the angle of shot, the rule of third, placement of the subject within your frame, where and how do you need to place it, whether you should be going for vertical or horizontal composition, checking for distractions, making sure the images are pleasant, the wow factor is there, checking for background and foreground to make sure you have complementary background and foreground, then understanding about the lighting itself, the direction of light, front light, side light, back light, harsh lighting in the afternoon, then you have the diffused lighting in monsoon after the rains, understanding the different nature of light and how to basically make the best use of it, getting cast light in your subject for wildlife, for people photography, portraits, and then even the head turn again for wildlife, bird photography, up to some extent people photography, and then the advanced concept of pre-visualization, getting all these things, pre-visualizing your shot well in advance and being ready for that. So this is basically all these things are the second pillar of photography. The third pillar of photography is equipment and shooting technique. It's very important to understand your equipment. What is it that your equipment can support? What are the features, the key features of those? 63 points your camera has, 155 points your camera has. What is its use? Understanding about your equipment, shooting technique, given certain conditions, certain challenges for safari, handheld photography, low light photography, you're walking on the street, you don't have a tripod, certain places you can't even carry a tripod, you have a bean bag, a monopod, so different kind of techniques, so all the shooting techniques, even handheld for that matter, so all these things, so for example, even for landscape photography or even this camera, if you see, like it has just a wide angle lens, but still this is a very heavy camera, overall the whole combination. Handheld photography is not easy, so how exactly do you hold your camera? I have seen people holding the camera like this for focusing from top here. So there are different ways people hold the camera. Getting the right technique to hold the camera, that is important. So all that comes under your equipment and shooting technique. And this is still under equipment part. I have already done it for my video tutorials. So shooting technique, that is still work in progress. Apologies for the delay, but you can expect a lot more in the next 6 months, guaranteed. And then the last pillar of photography is digital post-processing. And in my video tutorials online on my website learn.sudhirshivram.com, each of these things are explained in detail. So it's a full 8.5 hours, 8+ hours of video tutorial on all these various aspects. It's an entire day. So here obviously like it's one way. So no questions being taken, just one-way delivery of content. There's so much to learn. So go ahead, sign up for my video tutorials and learn all these things. Now, with this very basic background, now let me introduce you to the concept of high key and low key images, where the whole concept of metering, exposure compensation comes into picture. Now, to understand that, say for example, this image if you see here, okay, so this is from Bandhavgarh. She is Dottie, one of the most beautiful tigress, and even in my recent trip last week, I was able to photograph her. And of course, depending on the lighting condition, you may not be able to see the black background properly. So especially I can see it in Facebook, the camera is a little far. I am more lit actually, and in turn I can see that the whole TV setup here, the blacks you can actually see it. Hopefully in the YouTube live HD, I think you should be able to see it. Unfortunately, I can't see it from here because I have kept my live view on the Facebook over there and not my YouTube stuff. Okay. Now, if you look at this, people feel that this is a manipulated image. I get a lot of comments saying, how did you change the background to make it so black and dark? So this is the concept of low-key image, where you have a spotlight effect on the subject and the background is completely dark. Okay, so this is where the concept of understanding your camera, your metering, the dynamic range, all those comes into picture. So this is an example of a low-key image, and this is an example of high-key. So here obviously it's the overcast sky in the background. Again, understanding the concept of metering comes into picture, and just the whole crow, it's the thick-billed jungle crow, large-billed crow, one of those. Okay, so with the whole background is blown out. It's basically again understanding about the dynamic range of your camera. Now, if you have to get into understanding these things about high-key, low-key, you have to understand about exposure, understand about metering. Of course, the metering itself goes on to about 1 to 2 hours of session. Obviously, I cannot cover it here at this point of time. In fact, in one of my old photography chat, I have covered in depth about metering. So you have 4 different kind of metering supported in your camera. The 4th is missing in this list, yet to update. You have the spot metering, evaluative metering for Canon guys, and then matrix metering for Nikon guys, center weighted average metering, and then the other one, 4th one, which is partial metering. These are the different kind of metering available for your camera. And if I have to talk about spot metering is it calculates the amount of light reflected from one single spot, which is their center focusing point. By default, it takes from the center focusing point, but then depending on your camera specification, you can actually make your active focusing point as the particular point from where the center, from where the spot metering can happen. Now, this is at a very high level, and more importantly, if you want to understand about high key, low key, or exposure in general, this is the most important stuff. Okay, so just for your understanding, if you look at this, this is the zonal system chart. This is hundreds and hundreds of years old. So when photography started, Ansel Adams, he started. It's actually called as the Ansel Adams zonal system, especially being used for black and white photography. Here, if you see, I have just included a dynamic range of just 5 stops. So each bar is basically one stop, where the concept of metering, if I have to explain, the camera exposes everything as medium toned or 18% gray. So depending on how you see, the camera does not see the same thing. So the camera treats everything equal. The camera assumes that every single subject out there, it reflects 18% of light. And that is where it goes wrong. We all know that black reflects less light and white reflects more light. But the camera assumes both black subjects and white subjects, they reflect the same amount of light, which is 18% of light falling on them, and that is incorrect. So that is where the camera's exposure metering goes wrong, and you have to basically compensate that with exposure compensation. So if you see, the left side is the dark area, so the right side is basically the bright area, and each is one stop. So this particular dynamic range is -2 +2, so from 0. So basically it's the dynamic range is around 5 stops. So the current cameras, if you see, the dynamic range goes up to 12 stops, 13 stops. So okay, let me just keep it back here. So this is a very, very important thing. Now what happens is, if I have to explain to you the concept of high key and low key images. So if the overall difference in exposure between the overall, in fact, within your scene, if you see the difference in exposure between the foreground, background, any of those, if it is more than 2 stops, guaranteed that one of them will become underexposed or overexposed, because the camera's dynamic range, the camera cannot handle the complete dynamic range. In simple terms, if I have to explain to you how it may happen, take an example where you are in front of a window. So from window, backside light is coming and you're standing in front of a window. So from the front, if you see with the backlit, okay, so you can see the person standing in front of the window to be still out. So you can't see all the details, whereas the background will be very bright. So that is the concept of basically dynamic range. Even in terms of landscape photography, where the extremes, the exposure between the extremes within the scene is very high. People use even bracketing, or even manually you can do the bracketing to get the exposure right in different photographs and then combine all of them to make one HDR image. So this is a very important slide when it comes to understanding about metering, to get an idea about high key and low key image. Now if you look at both of these examples, so this is again a low key image, background has not been modified in any way. So the crested serpent eagle here, if you take, yes, in crested serpent eagle there was actually a huge branch running across the head on top here. From a wow factor, it was horribly looking, so I just cloned it out. Otherwise the rest of the things, absolutely no changes. So in this case what happened, this was at Bhadra Tiger Reserve. So in crested serpent eagle, sunlight falling just on the crested serpent eagle, and background is basically the shadow area of the forest. It's not actually black. There is good amount of details, everything in the backdrop. It's in shadow, and then the overall exposure, if you see, if I have to just give you an example, if I have to again go back a little bit to help you understand about metering, the concept of stop values. So shutter speed of say 1/125 and 1/250. Okay, it doubles, so the difference is one stop. Okay, so even say 1/15th, 1/30th of a second, difference is one stop. So if the difference in exposure between the extremes, say for example, let me just talk about in terms of shutter speed. So here if you see this eagle, if you take shutter speed, say for a given ISO and for a given aperture, leave those things aside, only shutter speed if you take, because of the very bright sunlight, consider the shutter speed is in the range of say 1/1000th of a second. Broad daylight, fantastic bright light, both cases. In case, even in fact the painted stock which was photographed at Ranganthittu, both are similar examples. So light or the shutter speed on this area, if I try to meter it, chances are it will be in the range of say 1/1000th of a second or even more. Okay. Now same way, if I just move the camera, the center focusing point to the back side. Okay, so if I just move it to the back, the light is very low, no direct sunlight, it is shadow area. Chances are the shutter speed may be 1/30th of a second, 1/10th of a second, I don't know, it will be very low. Now if you calculate the difference in the shutter speed, the difference in the dynamic range from the foreground to the background, say just from a mathematics point of view, let's keep it as say 1/30th of a second, the background. So 1/30, 1/60, 1/30, so 1/60, 1/125, 250, 500, 1000. Okay, so the variation in exposure between the foreground and background is 5 stops. So as I said, anything beyond 2 to 3 stops, if the variation is there, okay, so chances are one of them will have to be compromised. So if I try to expose it for the background, then the foreground it will become extremely bright. So for example, if I try to expose the background and keep the shutter speed as say 1/10th of a second or 1/30th of a second, this eagle in spotlight will get overexposed. Here what I have done, so there are 2 ways, there are different ways rather on taking this image or making this image, as I say, is main thing is you have to understand the concept of metering. So when people ask me for wildlife for this, is spot metering better or partial metering better? Let me be very honest, there is nothing called as the right metering option in your camera. Depending on what you want to achieve, depending on what you are trying to shoot, depending on the lighting condition, depending on what lens you are using, how much area is being covered, whether the subject is stationary or whether the subject is moving. A lot of these factors comes into picture before you can decide whether you want to use spot metering or evaluative metering. In this case, if I was using evaluative metering, what I would have done is, since evaluative metering takes the averaging of the whole scene, majority is dark. So if I have to, doesn't matter. So if I have to bring this up, since the background majority is very dark, I am going to underexpose it by -2 stops. Okay, so in evaluative metering, I am going to underexpose it by -2 stops for both the images in evaluative. If it is spot metering, I just keep my spot on this and then go with what the camera tells me. So of course here, since it is very wide, depending on where the spot is, black, white, again spot metering is going to be a little challenging in this case. So here I can just keep it on the eagle here, go with exposure compensation 0. Both of them will give you the same result. So this is basically a low key image. Opposite of that, if you have to see, this is a gull flying. So this is a high key image. So here what happened in this case, in case of evaluative metering, so if you see the backdrop is very light. So let me just lift it. Okay, so if you look at the backdrop of this, it's very light. So in evaluative metering, I have to overexpose the scene by 2 stops. Of course, the big question which people ask me is, if you overexpose it by 2 stops, will the bird also not get overexposed? No. If you understand the concept of metering, the foreground and the background, how the camera's metering works, in reality, if I had gone with 0 exposure compensation, then the backdrop would have been whatever the overcast sky, probably I would have seen the right colors, but the gull would have got basically heavily underexposed. So again, the same concept, if you are shooting birds against overcast sky or against the light, so bird high up in the tree, you aim the camera up, you shoot that and you will see that the bird actually has come very dark, it has become dark. So in those situations, overexposed by 2 stops, you'll get like this. Another example of low-key image of this parakeet, which I photographed in Chambal. So again, just spotlight just on the bird, backdrop is the shadow area of the forest. So that is where I'm able to get this kind of image. Absolutely nothing retouched or absolutely nothing done to the backdrop. I don't do any kind of retouching to the backdrop or any of those things. As far as possible, I always keep it to minimal changes, more what I call as correction and not manipulation in my post-processing. So another example of high key and low key. So even you can play around with your composition, with your thing, and you can get even black and white images. Even black and white, they look absolutely fantastic when it comes to the concept of high key or even low key image. So again here, if you see, it was more of an overcast sky. This was in Masai Mara. So just a close up, so the giraffe was very, very close to me, and I was able to get a high key image of that. And then again from Bharatpur, small blue kingfisher, a low key image of that with the backdrop again being in shadow. Okay, so that is at a very high level explaining about the high key, low key images, and then more importantly the concept behind that, understanding about the zonal system. This is very important. If any of you want to understand in depth about metering, how exactly it works, what is spot metering, evaluative, partial or center weighted, highly recommend you to join or subscribe to my video tutorials on my website learn.sudhirshivram.com. So after this broadcast is, hold on guys, not to worry. So the power has gone, it will come back. Just hold on, give me a now I see myself in total dark. So it will come back in a couple of minutes. So just hold on, and the broadcast will not stop. Okay, there you go. Wow, that was a good one. First time it has happened. And I want to make sure once the main power comes, I need to switch off my AC over there. Okay, so the TV also has to come back. Just hold on. Okay, this has come back. My TV is back, and AC, I just need to make sure I switch it off. Okay, so it will take some time. I can hear it actually, so I can switch it off. Okay, I think I'm back. Both, let me just check this. Live 29 minutes on this. Okay, super. I think my YouTube live also is going on pretty well. Okay, nice. Come. If I don't switch off my AC in the what do you call, backup generator from the apartment, so if the AC is on again, it's going to trip. So give me some more time so I can see the light over there. As soon as it comes on, I just have to switch it off. So the remote ready, the trigger is ready to shoot. Okay, so I can hear it. So main thing is, as I said, like understanding about the whole concept of exposure, metering. That is the key to making really good images. Okay, so watch out for that, and please do subscribe, sign up for my video tutorials. You can expect a lot more stuff, and the cost is just 4,000 rupees for a yearly subscription. Okay, there you go. Okay, I switched it off. Sorry for that. Okay, that's off. Good. Now let's move on to the next topic, where I'll be explaining to you a little bit about some of my picks, the hits and misses. So all said and done, I teach photography, everything, but even I'm not perfect. So probably my shooting retention rate is probably 5%, 10%. So if I shoot 100 images, chances are 5 of them or 10 of them are really good. So rest of them goes to bin. Okay, so at least I'm not aware of any photographer in the world who has a 100% hit rate. I may be wrong, but still. Okay, so let me show you a few of my images and share with you about the hits and misses, what is good, what went wrong. So this was from my recent Bandhavgarh trip again. So this is Samrat, so the Banbei male cub in the Talo zone of Bandhavgarh. So this tiger actually came out, and this was a small water body with the bund over here, and the tiger was walking on top of that. So it's a big bund actually. So from left, once it started walking, first few shots I have it when it is walking. And then one of the key things which many people miss when they're shooting this kind of image is basically they miss to see the reflection in the water. So always they keep the focusing point on the center portion of the image, and they shoot something from here to probably top. So of course I'm not saying that that is a wrong composition. Of course there are no guidelines when it comes to composition. It's more of visually what is acceptable to you, what you like to showcase. So here, this is one place where I really missed the zoom lens. So this was photographed with a fixed focal length, 400 mm 2.8, and I just barely managed to get the reflection here. So if you see over here, so the overall reflection, I should have kept more space over here, so I missed it out. Ah, come on. Hold on. Okay, so it's a small trip. The original power has come back. So let the TV come back again. So let me have some water meanwhile. Alright, it's back. So since it was a fixed focal length, I really missed out to get the complete reflection. Even though it's there, it's chopped off. Now this is where in wildlife photography a zoom lens makes a lot of difference. So very soon I will be getting a 100-400 IS2 lens. Canon guys, any of you who are planning to buy any lens, a starter, 100-400 IS2, I'll tell you, like, it's a fantastic lens, and that combined with a camera like 70 Mark II, you have a good flexibility. So at least in my case, what I would recommend is to have a full frame body as well as a crop factor 1.6, be it Canon, Nikon, any of you. So if you are planning to get multiple bodies for your trip, so that is something which you have to keep in your kitty, a full frame body and then a crop sensor body, along with that a fixed focal length and then a zoom lens. So the whole combination will be very helpful. So that is something which I really missed out in this image, but still I'm happy. One of the things which I normally aim for when I'm shooting is some kind of movement in the animal. So let it not be just on the four legs posing for the camera like this. See, here the paw is up, even there's a lot of dust being thrown here. So that whole nice walking movement is being captured. So that is something which I always like to capture. Then the other image here, so this is basically the Bamera son and then the junior Kankati. So this is the previous litter from Rajbir actually. So she hangs around here with Bamera son. This is in the Tadoba area of Bandhavgarh. So don't get confused for Tadoba. This is in Bandhavgarh, where we call this area as Tadoba because of the cemented small water thing what they have kept up, a tank what they have created, which resembles to a lot of those water tanks in Tadoba. That's why this place is called as Tadoba. So both the mating pair were there. So if you look at this image, for me personally, it's both mixed. Not very great for me because of the backdrop, too much of bamboo shoots, and that is the kind of habitat what you get in Magdi area. But what I really like is the eye contact. So both the female and the male. So this is the male, this is the female, and if the male gets up, I didn't put the other image. The face is very huge. Male you can easily recognize with the size of the face. Even it walks the pug marks. If you see, male is very huge. I mean, there is a massive guy. So both of this mating pair just relaxing, sitting over there, least bothered about all those 20-25 vehicles which were there, least bothered. And what I really liked about this is the eye contact. Okay, so I see a lot of mammal images where there is no good eye contact. Getting a good eye contact is very important. And another one, the hits and the misses, the big miss. Okay, so this one is not from Kabini, leopard on the tree, not from Kabini, but this is from Barnopara in Chhattisgarh. Beautiful, beautiful forest, very green, and it has one of the highest densities of leopard what I have seen. In my single safari over there, we came across 7 to 8 individual leopards. Okay, so in the whole forest of Barnapara, different, no zone concept, nothing, just go wherever you want in the tourism area. We came across 7 different leopards. Of course, no direct eye contact. There were movement, we could hear them growl, and then I missed it. The other jeep during one of my workshops, the other jeep, they saw it cross 2 of them. So different ones, and this particular one was very close. So while I was driving by, so this leopard right on the tree staring at me, like, I mean, my 400 mm 2-point lens was down in the gypsy, and the moment I saw it, I was so amazed. I mean, like, this was one of the closest encounters for me. A leopard sitting on the tree, beautiful, beautiful male leopard, colorful. This was just after the rains had stopped, so the greens, everything you can see, very beautiful. So it was sitting vertical, staring at me, like, just imagine here, sitting vertical, and as you can see, background, no distractions. It was very beautiful. And those 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, I mean, like, I was telling the driver, and the driver looking at me saying, "Sir, shoot karo," like, I'm just looking at it. And when by the moment I realized, I lifted the camera, and when I aimed at it, chuck, it just jumped and went off. And just that small glimpse of it jumping away from the tree I could capture, and it just ran away. So as I keep saying, in wildlife, you get 0 to 3 seconds to make your image, otherwise you have missed the shot. Beautiful leopard over there. Okay, and then the other one is from Ranthambore, Noor. So a lot of your images, it's important to understand more from the natural history, behavioral aspect of your subject. So even in this case, when Noor, she was walking towards this bark of the tree. So even yeah, this was when Hemraj was with me. So in Ranthambore, I always take Hemraj Minna, one of the best guides of Ranthambore I've seen, and his knowledge, the placement of the vehicle, predictability. I mean, he's one of the best in Ranthambore. So there he said, "Sir, Sudhir sir, be ready. It's going to climb and mark the tree, scratch itself. Be ready for that shot." Okay, so he conveyed that, and as he said, it just happened. And fortunately, good golden light falling on that. And since he said this is what is going to happen, I was ready with the kind of composition I wanted. So I was carrying 2 lenses. I decided, okay, what lens I may have to use in this. All those decisions in those 0 to 5 seconds, and was able to get this image. Beautiful. I mean, she's one of the most beautiful tigers again I have seen. Okay, and this again from Bharatpur. This is not easy. These kind of images, it takes a lot of skill, understanding about your camera's autofocusing mechanism, camera's autofocusing capabilities, your lens, what kind of lens you are using, everything. Your overall photography will be challenged if you try to get these kind of images. And of course the predictability, because once this is the snake bird, the darter, so once it goes inside the water, you have no idea where it's going to come up. Okay, so if I have to explain to you, what normally happens is it goes in, dives into the water, keeps swimming around inside, catches the fish, and in that huge area it may just come up wherever, anywhere it can come up, and you have to be really fast. It comes up, and as soon as it comes up holding the fish, and then next second is going to toss it up and then gulp it. Okay, you hardly have any time. And if you see here, fortunately or unfortunately, if you see the neck, it's very, very thin. Okay, so if you use multiple focusing points, chances are you may not get focus on this. You have to get your focusing on the eye of the subject. Very important in wildlife. So your camera's autofocusing mechanism has to be very fast. So in my case, I used the single autofocusing point and kept the point on the face. The moment it came up, of course, at least there will be 8 to 10 photographers spread across in Bharatpur at that particular place, the Manasarovara lake, at the center of the park. So what we do is we keep scanning the whole area, and somebody shouts saying it's there, and everybody points there, tries to focus and start shooting. So I made sure. So again, here you just sit there for 4 hours, 5 hours. This one, it will keep repeating. So it's a good place to practice your skills. And then, as I said, like, you need to keep your focusing points accurate, the servo mechanism, and Canon, again, if you see the high-end camera, 70 Mark II, 5D Mark III, 1DX, 1DX2, your different focusing cases, and then even the clustering concept or the zone creation, the advanced concepts of focusing. All those things you have to get together and then get your image. Okay, and then the last one, when it comes to the concept of predictability, understanding the behavioral aspect of your subject. So at Bharatpur during sunset, at the same place, this darter used to come and sit every evening at sunset on this particular perch. So this was on day one. Day one, unfortunately, the darter came there, everything fell into place, but unfortunately the sunset did not happen properly. So a lot of things can go wrong when it comes to your wildlife photography. What you predict, what happens, totally different. So I lost out on the sun. So the next evening, I mean, this was again in the workshop. Next evening, I told everybody, let's go back there. It is going to repeat. Let's wait for it. Next day, we went almost there. So we got a very good pose. So compared to day one, good progress, I would say. So we got a very good pose of the darter. But then again, the sunset, the way I wanted, it was not there. Still a nice image. Third day we went, and third day, the sunset was really beautiful. The kind of orange colors, everything, what I wanted in my image, that one I got and was able to get this image. And this image, of course, Kolkata Photography Workshop plus Post-Processing. So I use the same image for banner creation. So that is what I do for most of my images. If there is good amount of space where the text stands out, so I use those images for creating posters. And of course, for folks from Kolkata here, so sometime in August or September I believe, yeah. Sometime in September, I'll be coming to Kolkata for my post-processing basics and advanced photography workshop plus post-processing. So please do visit my website and sign up. And again, in the month of August, I'll be at Hyderabad. So all of you watching me live from Hyderabad, so I'll be at Hyderabad again. Please do register. And of course, next month in July end, I'm doing my workshop in Bangalore. So the basics and advanced photography plus post-processing, all this I'm doing it in Bangalore as well. Okay. So this is about a few of my images, the story behind it, the hits and misses, which I wanted to explain. And the last topic, let me just quickly go through reviewing some of the images from the workshop students. And most of the folks who attend my workshop, they're not advanced users or professional users. Majority of them are beginners who have a very high interest to learn photography from me. So those are the kind of folks who generally attend my workshop, and overall in the last 2 years, if I see like have at least anywhere from 50 to 80%, and in some workshops 50 to 90% of repeat students, repeat participants. So that gives me a lot of encouragement, motivation to make sure like I try to keep up with what I am teaching, as well as like when the repeat guys come, I have to do something new for them. So I'm trying to evolve, basically improve in all those areas, and that gives me the encouragement when I keep seeing all those repeat participants. So these are some of those participants, were just 4 or 5 of them. Okay, and again, very important when it comes to image review critiquing, the key things which I normally consider is, of course, your exposure, everything you have to get it right. But the key aspects which I consider are these. Check the angle of shot, is it right? Composition wise, placement of the subject, is it right? And vertical versus horizontal. A particular image, horizontal or vertical, what probably could have worked, that is something you have to check. And distractions, this is probably the #1 reason why the images go bad. Okay, then checking for both background and foreground to see if it is complementary to the subject, whether the subject stands out because of the background or depending on what is included in the foreground. How is the lighting condition? Is there good amount of catch light? Is there shadow on the subject? Probably changing the angle could have been better. So all this combination I check during the review. I make sure there is good catch light and eye contact within the subject, and then even the head turn. So these are all the various parameters what I use when I review the images, and these are the parameters which I use during my field execution also when it comes to composition. Let me take up this first image from Shubhankar from the recent Corbett workshop. So this is the Parwali. So personally, if you ask me, this is a very beautiful image. So I mean, in fact, Parwali, she herself is very beautiful. Unfortunately, like I think she lost her 3 cubs. The last it was seen in January, her 3 cubs. So it was videographed where she was walking with the kill and her 3 cubs just following her. Probably we don't know what happened, but after that her cubs were never seen. Any guesses? Anybody's guess as to what could have happened, unfortunately. And she is very beautiful. So she was there at the water body, got up and walked towards us. And then Shubhankar managed to capture this beautiful image. So overall exposure, eye contact, colors, everything I really like about this image. But from a composition point of view, it's not worked very well for me, if you ask me. So if you ask me, then the tiger like walking towards like this, there's very less space in front of the tiger and more space over here. And also from a composition, it's cramped, okay, because of the horizontal composition, very less space on top and again very less space down here. So what he could have done is basically even horizontal, depending on whether you are using a zoom lens or any of those, zoom out a little, keep the tiger more to the left, and it's okay, zoom out. And one thing what you have to keep in mind is when you're shooting something like this where the tiger is walking towards you, you have more opportunities, multiple frames. Make sure like each and every single of those frames need not be the same. Once you have a good frame of it, of the portrait of it walking towards you, if it's a zoom lens, zoom out, zoom in, try different composition, different placement, try vertical composition as well. So here even Shubhankar, you could have tried a vertical composition of this. So these are the different things what you have to keep in mind. But the eye contact is really good, and if you see the lighting is very soft lighting, there is no direct harsh light on the subject. The light is uniformly lit across. The colors reproduction is really good. So some of the very positive points are there in this, but at the same time from a composition certain things could have been improved. Again, Parwali from the Corbett trip itself, from Bhushan. This is a great image, really well executed image. So this is what I said. Normally what happens when you see something like this, a lot of photographers in a hurry, they pick, click, 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 they start shooting. What they miss out is to capture the reflection. So here in this case, Bhushan has captured the reflection very well. So good amount of space on top and equal amount of space in the reflection of the down here. In fact, if the water was extremely still, okay, so the reflection, the details would have really stood out. But still, it's a very beautiful image. And from a post-processing point of view, Bhushan, you could have little bit increased the contrast. If you look at the rocks over here, right? So this rocks, like the contrast, you could have increased, the blacks you could have increased in your post-processing, and the image would have really stood out. But still, leaving aside the post-processing aspects, if I look at the overall composition, execution, the eye contact, as I keep saying, this is extremely well executed. Okay, yeah, no, sorry, just checking on something there. This is really well executed. Okay, and this is from Sudhindra Rao. So this particular water body again from Corbett, the Sambar deer here, each time, this is in Sambar Road in Corbett in Dikala. So each time we are passing by this, so this is a fantastic, completely green algae filled water body, small pond. And each time when I used to look at this, my only wish was if there was a tiger sitting in this. So every time, like I used to tell my participants saying, only if someday I could get a tiger sitting in this green algae. Okay, so that particular day when we went, we actually got this sambar deer in that green algae water. So again, cast light, good eye contact, overall I like it. But since I was there, I know how the scene was. In fact, even I have shot the same image. Probably I could have included that. Never mind. So in this one, what I would have preferred is, yeah, I mean, this is a good one. Keeping it to the left composition, more space in front of the subject, good head turn. So all those, everything is nice. But personally, my preference would have been a wide angle shot showing the entire green algae, and there were some nice green trees at the backdrop. So the overall scene over there was extremely beautiful. Of course, this comment I am able to give because I was personally there, and that was one of the reasons why I chose this to showcase. So since I was there at that point, I know how the scene was, and that is where I can give inputs as to how else this image could have been better. So this is a good image, a nice image with the backdrop, a wide angle shot. It would have been really good. I mean, that is my taste personally. Otherwise, in this, the lighting, everything, if I see, absolutely beautiful, like this image. Okay, and then this is the image from Kabini KP. So here, if you see on this langur, so here multiple things have gone wrong. Even though the eye contact, those things are there, exposure wise, I think he has done a good job, because fortunately, if there is harsh light for langur, then the exposure you will not get it right. So here you have got all of those very well, the exposure. one thing which has gone wrong is the white balance. So white balance has gone wrong in this image. Composition wise, again, as you can see, the lower portion has been chopped off. So if you had left more space, or even if you ask me, this image probably would have worked better if you had done a vertical composition. So a vertical composition of this would have been even much better if you ask me. Now that is something which you could have done, but rest, exposure, even within this composition, yes, you have kept it to the right, more space on this, showing even this bark of the tree, you have not chopped it off. Those things are fine. Exposure, white balance, composition probably vertical, it would have worked. Those are some things which you should have worked on, KP. Okay, and then this is from Imad during this was Imad Kabini. This was during the Kabini workshop. I think this was in the boat ride. Yeah. So this is another example of the high key image. Okay, so the Brahmini kite with the backdrop. So he overexposed by 2 stops. So we had actually done this experiment as a part of the workshop. All this teaching had happened, and I'm very glad that Imad was able to get a high key image with the right exposure, everything. So this was shot while moving from the boat, and vertical composition, I really liked it. Again, as you can see, it need not be a close crop of the subject. So okay, keep more space. Again, composition, you can talk saying, yeah, I mean, like probably he could have moved it a little more to the right. So keep it centered. Even though the bird is looking this side, do not keep so much space. So we can even argue about it, but personally for me, I still like this shot. More negative space being used over here. Small bird, composition wise, the head turn, yeah, the catch light, I can't see it actually. Wish there was a better catch light in this Brahmini kite. Otherwise, it's a nice one, and yeah, the black color border actually spoils the image. This was downloaded from Facebook. So for Facebook, he had put this black border, and I just downloaded it here. So except for so let's leave the black border thing aside, but overall for me this is a nice one. And of course this is from Naveen, again from Kabini. Now this is where the other challenge comes in when it comes to photography. So Kabini is well known for leopards, like the way Ranthambore, Bandhavgarh you go, you get a lot of tigers. So the expectations on the quality of the image is very, very high from those places. So same way for leopard, if you see here, I mean, this is a leopard standing here, staring, whatever. So it's a nice image, I would say. I mean, more seeing nice natural history image. But the wow factor for me doesn't work because of, if you see here, prominent, this whole branches popping out in front of the leopard. It's very, very prominent. So when I look at this image, first, yes, I see the leopard, but immediately my eyes goes towards these branches here. No, not good. Especially we know in Kabini you can actually make much better images of the leopard. So that it has not worked for me very well. Otherwise composition, yes, keeping it more to the right side, more space, horizontal as word, exposure is fine. The lighting is brilliant. Of course, the other thing is I cannot see the eye of the subject. So that is a different one, again missing, the eye contact is missing. So those are the key things I basically noticed. The backdrop, again, too many distractions. Not such a great image if you ask me. Okay, so but yeah, nice leopard I would say. And then the other one is from Vinay. This is the white-bellied woodpecker, one of the largest woodpecker. So this image is selected actually to convey multiple things. One is obviously the whole composition comes into picture. So the wow factor, the making or breaking of the image purely depends on your composition. And another important message what I want to pass using this image is, your subject need not always be frame filling. Okay, so I have seen people where once they shoot, they try to do a close crop of it like this. Don't do that. Never try to do cropping of your image. Go with the actual composition. So work in the field. If the subject is very small in your frame, see how you can basically compose it and get a better framing with respect to your bird. So that is where I like, this is again Kabini, bark of the tree, and this is how you normally get your white-bellied woodpecker. They go to the bottom and then they start climbing up. Again, the behavioral aspect is very important. So I like this, the eye contact, everything. Small bird in the larger frame, but still, personally for me, it has worked very well. Of course, a little bit of out of focus here, those things, some of those you could have worked on. Okay, good one. Okay, so those were the key things what I wanted to convey as a part of this presentation. So we can do one thing now. So I will just turn around, change the setup over here. and I will start taking questions. I know like already hundreds of questions have already come over there. So let me turn around, just make some changes to the setup here in the room. And at this point, I'm going to stop my YouTube broadcast because of the changes. I've just kept the phone on the edge of the box over here. It's just standing over there with the teleconverter support. All kind of circus I have done inside the room here. So I'm going to switch off the broadcast of my YouTube channel. So folks watching on YouTube, I'm sorry I have to stop it here. But going forward, I'm going to make sure like I improve the overall things on my YouTube, and also I got my YouTube channel link wrong. I'll have to fix those things. So Facebook guys, just hang on. I'm going to make some changes and start taking all your questions. Okay? So just hold on. So this I have to stop broadcast.